All right, quick update. So I'm not sure what the gold plating or the gold flashing is held down with, whether there's copper, nickel, or something else, but it's sitting in hydrochloric right now, and it's going to sit there for about a week. If it doesn't come up on its own in a week or two, then I might just go straight to aqua regia. But at least anything that would mess me up here, like tin or nickel or who knows what, that at least will come off in this step right here. But if nothing comes up, then we'll soak them in AR, and we'll move on from there. But that's just a quick update, not quite relevant to this video, but people have been asking, you know, what I was planning to do with those, so there you go. Hello, I'm Anthony, this is Bad Idea Metals, and today we have a really old Toshiba. It's about a 1994 Toshiba T2200 SX, and this was given to me and it was already torn apart. So we're gonna finish tearing this apart and we're gonna see what kind of fun things we can find inside. The Toshiba that we took apart last year was about a 1996 model, so this one's a little bit older. I don't expect to see a whole lot different, but I'm still curious. So let's go ahead and pull this apart and see what we got. Let's just start where everybody left off, yeah? Before we get into it, it's a 2200 SX. Nice, probably about a 8-inch screen or so. The keys are all sticky, but then again, it is pretty old. I actually wouldn't be surprised if this was a monochrome screen, but we'll have to look the spec up sometime. Bunch of serial ports, VGA, what looks like a docking port of some sort, or some sort of an expansion for like a printer, who knows what. Anyway, so as we go through this, we'll try to come up with an estimated value. This does not look like it's aluminum plating at all. This is plastic. It doesn't have a mark on it to what type of plastic. This is probably some high density, I'm not exactly sure. So we'll put this off to the side. We'll have to figure that out, whether we can recycle that or not. But first things first, as we come in here, this was probably the hard drive bay right here. This was either a battery that slid in. Yeah, that's probably what it was. Unless it was some sort of a expansion slot, but yeah, this was already pretty picked apart. But we're gonna find out what's underneath here and what's inside that monitor. This looks like it was a PCMCIA slot, one on each side. So all sorts of expandable interfaces there. And this looks like it wants to come up now too, maybe. That's a keyboard ribbon right there. Oh man, this is a mess. When they designed this one, must have had way too much fun. Now that we've got a better idea of what we're looking at, it looks like there's a few screws. We'll go ahead and undo those. A few ribbons and cords there. Well, it actually looks like that might actually be the CPU. Either this unit or this unit was our CPU. Because I don't see a whole lot of room for a motherboard, and this might actually be it. So there are serial numbers on here. We can look all this stuff up. The Intel chipset. Yeah, this looks like it could be the cache registers on a CPU. This is probably our CPU board right here. And then this is the south bridge, basically, where you'll have all your expansions for your drives. Let's just double check. Yeah, I don't see any drive ribbons coming out. Well, maybe not. This could be our drive here. Anyway, man, when they built this board, they sandwiched the ribbon right in between. So that ribbon does not have any solder. It goes straight onto that board. This must have been a very complex board to put together, because they had to sandwich the whole thing together. Well, I don't do that much anymore. Any more? Looks like it was it. It's just a little plastic separator, but it's got all those brass anchors, so we'll come back for that someday. And it was holding down our keyboard. That is a pretty cool keyboard, and the buttons are all still attached. I may actually save that just for decorative purposes. There's not a whole lot of value to a keyboard. The Mylar ribbon, I don't know what you call it, the Mylar sheet, I guess, that sits underneath the aluminum here, that transfers the data for a key press. That may have some silver, that may have other metals that people are interested in. I've seen plenty of people get excited about them, but if those indeed are silver contacts, I've never processed them, so we'll set that off to the side too. We're pretty much done with what's down here. So that crazy thing with all the ribbons, that indeed is the motherboard. Okay, so this is a copper component. This one will be considered an electric motor because it's got all the twists. It's basically a transformer. I don't really see anything of any significant value. There is some gold plating on these pins here, not much. So this is a really low grade board. I may pop that off just to add to the weight of my electric motors, but I'm not gonna do anything else with this. There are MLCCs, but there aren't enough. This isn't worth my time to process. All right, so flipping this guy over, there are some really small screws. We'll take these off. All right. So this one right here, that's gonna be a little circuit board inside. You can see the relief of some surface mount material. It looks like a little copper bearing piece right here, and maybe 2 or 3 MLCCs and a resistor. And that's probably some sort of a, well, I can't even begin to guess without peeling it off, but I'm not going to. It has a model number on it. We can look that up if we're curious. I don't see any gold bearing pieces, but these look an awful lot like tantalum capacitors, but an older style. So I may pop those off, and come to think of it, this had a few of those as well. So I may pop those off and add them to my tantalum bin. I keep a little bin of things that sell at a pretty decent price on eBay. Well, I'll put it out there right now. This Toshiba was not my favorite. I've torn apart more interesting computers. I mean, it's interesting, it's old. That motherboard is crazy, but definitely torn apart machines that had a little bit more interesting. Ooh, well, that's cool. As I'm talking about how uninteresting this is, I was expecting the lights to run long ways. I'm wrong. the lights are self-contained right here in this little sleeve. So there's a light, a fluorescent tube inside here, and that makes sense. Yep, you can see it's right there. We don't want to break that, so we're not going to mess with it. But I do want to see if I can recover the plexiglass. So I guess we're going to have to mess with it. I don't want to break that tube. There we go. So that is a light. It's probably been burned out for a decade now, but yeah, that's a fluorescent tube, leaving me a piece of plexiglass and some of this reflector material. All right, well, the glass is threatening to break. Gotta be very careful at this point. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of value to these boards. So let's see if we can rip these off. It looks like this is gonna have copper under that mask. So we're not gonna process this. We're gonna put it in our circuit board box. So we'll set it off to the side for now. Two of them. So this piece of glass, somebody in one of my previous videos was saying that there is a coating, like an oxidized tin or an oxidized copper, I can't, or maybe oxidized aluminum, I can't remember, but there's a thin coating for the anti-glare and for how this performs. I don't remember. I don't have a buyer. I don't even know where to begin to market something like these. So unfortunately, this goes to landfill. Okay, so this is what we ended up with. Let's sort some of this out. We've got, we probably shouldn't bury that fluorescent tube. In fact, let's take care of this now. This is just garbage. Okay, so we've got our small wires. We've got our circuit boards, which we can throw in our circuit board box. We've got our power management. We've got our floppy drive. We'll stick that with all of our floppy drives. We've got these video transfer ribbons and Mylars and whatnot. We've got all of the plastic components that have all of our brass anchor points. We've got quite a few of them. So we'll set that off to the side. We'll deal with that someday. Not today. We've got all of our circuits that we do want to save. This right here is the craziest motherboard I've ever seen. But I've seen very few, if you think about how many there have been over the years. We've got all these other circuits, a power manager for the unit, a power manager for the monitor, and then the data transfer for the monitor, and our main board here. And then the fun things that I use myself, I'll use this as a decoration of some sort. It's a fun little keyboard. It's well built, keys still function. It'll be a nice decoration, probably up here on the wall behind me someday. Picture frame, I like these. Ultra nerds out there, whoever wants it. I am about due for another giveaway. Maybe I'll do a giveaway with this picture frame. I don't know. We'll see. And then the last piece of interesting stuff that I have is this. It's about 3 millimeters thick, 2 or 3 millimeters thick, plexiglass panel, and I'll use this as a coaster for my lab work back here. Oh look, it isn't actually glued. It was just very statically charged. There you go. So yeah, I like these. They help protect my surfaces back here. well, not the most interesting laptop I've ever torn apart, but it was still pretty cool. I mean, that's a pretty interesting keyboard. Nice legacy relic of another era, but I don't know. I'm looking for the ones that have like all the different colored keys, like the red and the green and all those. That would be fun to have up behind me on this wall. As for everything else, pretty standard stuff. I'd say the ultimate value of this scrap probably is below $1. Depends on the value inside those ICs. It could be $1 or $2. So really not that high. So yeah, that's it for that laptop. I've got other things that I'm going to tear apart back here. I've got some printers that I'm eager to get to. One's a pretty large office styled laserjet printer, and we'll get to that here in a little bit. And I've got a few other laptops and some desktops. I've got an old iMac, and I've got just a bunch of random stuff. So I'm eager to get to it all. I've got other projects. We're gonna finish up the solar panels pretty soon. I've almost got everything I need, and we'll make that battery. And then the last, I've got a whole bunch of copper that I need to melt down. So we're gonna start printing some stuff on the 3D printer. We're gonna make some pretty fun stuff. So I can't wait for all that. Just not enough time in my life to get to all that. So please continue watching, subscribe if you were entertained, and we'll see you in the next video. Good night.